If you ever thought about owning a coffee shop, you're not alone. It's one of the most popular businesses people want to own, and having a coffee shop sounds like a great concept, but there are many challenges within this industry. Today, I'm going to be breaking down what it actually takes to get started, how to compete with giants like Starbucks and Dunkin', and what's really happening in the market right now. Grab your cup of coffee and let's dive into the coffee shop industry. Cue the intro. Welcome back to Inside the Industry. I'm Jake Tobin, a licensed business broker with Transworld Business Advisors, and I work directly with business owners in navigating exits, growth decisions, succession planning, and acquisitions. And today, we're breaking down the coffee industry. Let's start with the numbers, because this is where most people get a little confused as there are many different numbers out there. When opening or buying a coffee shop, it isn't cheap. Depending on the location, the size, and the build out, you're typically looking at anywhere between $5,000 to over $500,000 just to get started. These numbers are backed by the Business Reference Guide, other SBA lending benchmarks, Specialty Coffee Association, and international coffee organizations, as well as IBIS World. Now, let's break down for the startup costs. Starting strong, let's go over your leasehold improvements. This is essentially any custom change that you, as the buyer or future owner, will do to the commercially rented space. Leasehold improvements can be one of your largest expenses, especially if the space you are renting was not a coffee shop. These improvements can include plumbing, electrical, HVAC upgrades, countertops, bars, seating, flooring, lighting, all your permits, designing, and contractor costs. According to industry data and SBA lender benchmarks, this can easily range from $50,000 to $200,000. Build-out cost can vary heavily based on the location and whether it's a second-gen space or a completely new space. Second expense for you to consider is your equipment cost. This is everything you actually need to run the business. Your espresso machines, your grinders, your refrigeration. Maybe you're even looking at having an oven if you plan to have some sort of a food menu. Realistically, you are looking to spend at least $20,000 here. Especially if you have no commercial equipment to start with, there are places where you can get discounted prices on used machines, but you're ultimately have to decide on the quality and quantity for certain machines. Next is your initial inventory. This is what you need to open your doors. Your coffee beans, milks, syrups, pastries, cups, lids, all of that. Most people don't realize coffee is a commodity, so pricing fluctuates based off of the global markets. But to get started, you're typically looking in the range of $5,000 to $15,000. Then you have rent and your security deposit. How much money you will need will be dependent on the location, traffic in that area, and you as the renter. And every landlord is different, so don't expect the same price for different locations. You should also expect that when interacting with the landlord, they're going to run your credit, they're going to look at your business plan, they're going to want to make sure that rent is going to be paid each and every month. After that, you've got your licenses, your permits, and insurance. This is the stuff you need just to legally operate. You have health permits, business licenses, food handling certificates. It's not the biggest expense, but it adds up. Plan for about $2,000 to $10,000. This cost is easy to plan for. You could just contact your local city hall or government building to get an idea on the price for your location. Now, let's talk about something people always forget: staffing and payroll. You're not going to be profitable day one, but you still need to pay your team. You'll have baristas, maybe a manager, you have to account for training time. Unless you have friends and family assisting you from day one, you should plan for about the first 1 to 3 months of payroll. And you should budget somewhere around $15,000 or more just to cover. And if you're having difficulties calculating this expense, consider starting wage for a barista in your area. Consider the business hours and days you want to be open for. Do you want full-time employees or do you want part-time employees? How many employees do you want for each shift? And how long is a shift? Once you have all of this information ready, you should be able to have a reasonable estimate on how much money to set aside for payroll. And finally, and this is one of the most important, working capital. This is the money that keeps your business alive in the early days. It covers your slow months, unexpected expenses such as a broken piece of equipment, and just the reality that it takes time to build that consistent traffic. You want at least 20,000 to 25,000 set aside here. And here's the key. Coffee shops are low ticket, high volume businesses. That means you need consistent traffic from day one. If you're buying an existing shop, you may be able to mitigate some of the expenses such as the leasehold improvements or other expenses. But if you're starting from scratch, you will need to consider all different costs associated with this business industry. Now, let's talk about competition because this industry is crowded. You're not just competing with coffee shops down the street, you're competing with major brands like Starbucks and Dunkin, convenience stores, and even fast food chains. So, how do you stand out? The most successful coffee shops I see do one thing well. They differentiate. That could be a strong brand or vibe. Is it a community focused? What's their aesthetic? Is there a niche audience? Specialty products, maybe like organic coffee, unique drinks, food pairings, something with experiences like workspace, social hub, or a premium feel. Because if you're just selling coffee, you're going to lose. And I'm not saying this to deter you from starting your own coffee business because I'm a strong supporter of this industry. But think about your favorite coffee shops and the reason why you go there instead of making coffee at home. There is something about the coffee shop that makes you want to support that business. And if you don't like your neighborhood coffee shops, think about the reason why. What are they missing? What turns you off from their business? What can you do differently? Because customers today are buying experiences, convenience, and an identity, not just a $4 cup of coffee. Now, let's zoom out and talk about the market. Coffee is a global commodity and prices are influenced by supply chains, weather, and international production. When coffee prices rise, your margins shrink unless you pass those costs on to the customers. And that's where you need to consider inflation. As cost increases, not just coffee, but also the milk, the pastries, labor, rent, operators are forced to raise prices. But consumers are also becoming more price sensitive. So, what happens? Some customers trade down from premium shops to cheaper options. Some reduce frequency, fewer visits to their coffee shops per week, and others stay loyal but expect more value. This creates a tight balancing act. So, here's the bottom line. Coffee shops can be a great business, but only if you understand the model. You need strong financial planning, a clear way to stand out, and the ability to navigate changing costs and consumer behavior. Because in this industry, success doesn't come from selling coffee. It comes from building a brand people come back to every single day. If you got any value from this video, please leave a comment down below. This has been Inside the Industry, and on this channel, deals are made simple.